Yeah, good evening, friends, or Think Sapiens we can call. Today, we schedule this meeting so some of our TS family can meet, have a good discussion, cover some of the topics about the website or reports, especially for someone who is new. And then um, within the 1 hour we have, we'll also cover for any questions some of our you know, team members have or friends here who joined today have. That way, we are learning both real-time experience, sharing real-time experience, and some of the knowledgeable things that we can get through the reports of what the TS has believed in and developed. Okay, so directly jumping in, uh, um, some of you could be new, totally new. Some could have been here and the following, irrespective, right? So just to give a background of how Things Habio has started, basically in the year 2018, Sai, the CEO of Things Habio, came across an article where it was saying that a lot of money has been made by top people. So when he gets into the details, it is you know uh, James Simmons. The next is somebody. Like 10 people were listed. Going into detail, all those 10 they were talking about or being printed was the article was about someone who is into trading, who has been in the markets and who has topped the markets consistently over the years again and again. Out of the 10, one might be slipping here and there, but bottom line, the focus has been how they made it. And um, having being a billionaire and all that may not have caught the eye, but what caught the eye was, you know, 1.6 billion was made this year, and the breakdown was done to per day income, right? And then per hour income, and then per minute income, which even on a hourly basis or something, it was more than 300 grand. When you hear that kind of numbers, it definitely catches your eye. We might have someone from this group, right, where we joined today. We might have just read the article and let it go, or we might have thought, wow, great. But what Sai did, he took one more step ahead and thought, when he is doing that, why I can't do it? If I have to do it, what I have to do it? This is the thought process that stuck his mind, and from there he took off. Then, eventually he researched by starting off with him and one team member. Then it became two team member, and then eventually whatever it was needed, it was built. So that's how it started off. From there, he got to know that all these people who are investing aggressively or been trading, they have to follow certain rules, right? And that rules are laid out by the government. So here you have to be should be able to know that okay, there is something called SEC, Security Exchange Commission. So basically, just like every company has a board, and board makes some decisions, or in our language to understand, every team has a few players out of which everybody is ranked, so they can oversee the projects and deliverables, etc., etc. Similarly, Security Exchange Commission here in US markets, especially, they look after what is going on in the markets or with the companies, what is coming in, going out. Are they following the rules that are being laid out by the governments? Any misdoings are happening. It could be whether on the internal inside trading, right? Those cases happen. So anything as such thing happens, they are the front runners. So they laid out some rules, and that's how, as I said, it started with one member, then another additional member teaming together. They started the research. Now it looks easy, but when it was started off, this where they stand. And on that note, they got to know. that everyone who is into stock market and has a minimum of 100 million plus portfolio, right? Then they have to immediately disclose their holdings, their portfolio holdings on a quarter to quarter. So what I meant by that is, let's say me as an individual, I run a company now, let's say some things have you itself. And then my company's goal or line of business is investments. And then investments into, public traded companies, etc., etc. Now, for whatever reason, I have grown and my portfolio value is 101 million plus. Okay. Since I have that, I have to report to SEC every quarter. As soon as quarter ends, you know, companies report their earnings. Similar to that, me being a investing firm, I have to report to SEC what my holdings are. That starts with the quarterly. That's one rule. The moment you have 100 plus and then quarter ends, between 1 to 45 days of quarter ends, you have to file your holdings. Let's say me as a 100 plus portfolio company, right? Or without, I am taking a stake of 5% into a company. Let's say there is a company with $1,000 valuation. Okay. If there is a company with the $5, $1,000 valuation, if I'm taking $50 of position, which is 5% of it, immediately I have to be reporting within 1 to 10 days of that action. Okay. Since I gave $1,000, there is no company that goes public with that. But just for understanding, I have brought up that kind of example with the limited number. So that is second scenario. Okay. When ThinkSabio team came to know that, okay, this is something existing, they thought of looking into that data. Okay. Let's say, I'm a very successful investor and I'm reporting something. I'm curious now. Okay, he's making money, but on what basis? Whether he invested into Amazon, whether he invested into some unknown company which was born yesterday. What did he do? This kind of curiosity has uh, come to the mind of the ThinkSabio team, right? Then they started digging more, eventually to be able to make some valuable data. Okay, uh, so from this quarterly daily information they have developed certain reports. So our focus will be how we can look into those today, and any other report they have generated with this basic information provided. So today, if you want to know these reports in detail, the few things we will be going to look into, or whenever you go through the website, there are few things that you should be able to know, right? I will be sharing my screen quickly and then show you how, if you will be able to connect to that. Okay. So few parameters that you need to know is, okay, here in the reports, they're talking about pricing. Any stock, it's pricing. They're talking about volume. Okay. Any stock, today, three of our friends might be buying it, right? So, and three of us buying three $5 shares, 15 is the volume, or somebody is selling it, some action is going on. So that also counts as a volume, whether it's buying volume or selling. So there is some price to it, some volume to it. And then like I told you, on a quarterly basis, they have to report. Big firms, right? They have to report. So based on that, the quarterly attribute or variable came into picture. Quarter 1, 22, 23, blah, blah, blah. Now we completed quarter 1, 24, and just 6 days ago, we completed quarter 2. Like I said, within 1 to 45 days, data will be coming in. So then you will be seeing in next 30 days, you will be seeing quarter 2, 24 label, just to get an idea of where. So you need to know what this quarterly means. And this quarterly, like I said, okay, I'm trying to see who invested into what. As a firm, I invested into Apple. Let's say we have 9 to 10 people here. four of others also invested into Apple. The count is five, right? Like that, you're getting the institution counts. So what is indirectly happening is these big firms who has multi-millionaire dollars or multi-billion dollars, they manage assets under management. That's the assets they are trying to manage. They report to the government. Based on that, it's an open channel that was discovered, and after discovery, they try to look into the data, extract the data, format into a more meaningful projection that as a humans we can understand to make some meaning out of it, whether we can sense a good directional investment there, or we don't want to invest there, some kind of outcome that might give us a extra lead. That was the aim to provide, right? So that's where the- so when these people are reporting, let's say 4,278 people reported that they hold Apple as of quarter 21-22. So it goes on, whether they increase, decrease, there are ups and downs you saw. But as of last quarter, they hold 44,827 people hold. There might be a question there, if you're really following this. I immediately ask, what, how many institutions do you even have, right? How many firms data? Firms here we can refer as institutions. That's why you see this as institution count. So they are stuck. There will be a question there saying, how many are you looking at? You are saying 4827, but how many do we have? So ThinkSabio as of today has around 7 to 7,500. Okay, between 7,000 to 7,500 a number of institutes are available. Out of, let's like, in this meeting we are 9 to 10 people. Out of this, five people invested. Just like that, out of 7,500 available that are reporting to the government, 4,800 people invested into this. This, I just brought up this so you understand the variables of it, or when they speak, what it means, how it can impact, etc., etc. Okay. So similarly, what am I saying? Yeah, we five people invested into Apple, but what are we saying? Am I invested one share, 10 shares, 1,000 shares, million shares, 10 million shares? Is the question, right? So I could have invested just one. I'm still part of it, right? You could have invested just two. You could still part of it. Again, thing is, there are more than 100 million plus assets under management. These firms, these institutes are managing that. So as long as they're doing that, they hold it. So like that, there is a big chunk of maybe billions. This is billions, I am right. Some number it's represented. So whenever you go through things, have your reports, right? You could be seeing institution counts. You could be seeing shares. Price and volume is definitely a known positive side to the entire world in the stock market. So as long as you see those, with that, a lot of reports are made where you can be able to figure out the positive possible investment opportunity. Okay, these are few things we need to know. Then since we bought this up, they have made different reports. Okay, different reports are available. One among them is, let's say you came to know, see, here is the two things, right? Now I come as a individual with no knowledge and I want to invest in stock market. Where do I start is the question I will have. So two things, right? So yesterday, my neighbor or my friend next door, he told me, okay, there is some stock called Apple. Okay, fine. That is one way you get to know or hear, and then you do some homework. There is second thing, you yourself find there is something called Apple. Two ways, two possibilities. One, you discover it. Two, you hear about it, research about it, and invest it. In both the cases, your aim is to find a positive investment opportunity, right? So on that note, based on the factors we just discussed in last 5 minutes, ThinkSabio has built a report. Let's say I came to know there is something called Apple. Okay, when there is an Apple, simply in search there is individual statistical report they call it as. So I'm trying to pull individual statistical report of Apple basically, right? So I came to know about this stock, but I want to see if there is any meaning to it, or how real investors who continuously put 24/7 focus on this part of their work are doing, or how much interest they have. Then you have few parameters like any other, but at one shot you will be able to see how this is trading, etc., etc. Any counts you see here, it's a comparison just to simplify. Okay, what was the last quarter? What was this quarter? Like I said, this quarter will show up in next few days, right? So this is a comparison just to give you overview what is happening, etc., etc. Like similarly price history, etc., etc. But when you see here, we saw it quickly, you'll get how the current pricing is going on between quarters, how volume is doing, or counts and shares are doing over a period of time. Then they also captured, we talked about, when I started off, I said there are 10 people who has been topping the charts continuously for years, consistently for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So they have been named as top 10 hedge funds. Okay. So I explicitly, out of a classroom of 50, 10 top people have been finalized all the time. Okay, these 10 are top 10. That's it. Okay, so like that, these hedge funds tracking is there. What it means is, let's say, here you see uh, probably like 6, 7 people, right? Out of 10, only 7 people invested into Apple out of those top 10. So, their holdings, how they are behaving is being captured. For most of the statistical report, you will have this column or this data if any of those top 10 people invested. Just like I said, in a classroom, we pick the top 10 people and we name them. These are the top 10. Okay, and out of top 10 they participate in an exam, it will show up. If they don't participate, yes, they did not show up. Similarly, out of this top 10, if they invest, it will show up. If not, it won't show up. So like that, how they are doing, we see. So I don't know how many of you know, but Warren Buffett is the biggest investor into Apple, right? So what they are doing, out of these out of these 4,800 people, right, or institutions or firms, who is the top 10 investors? We are we are separating top 10 people by itself, right? If one of those is a top 10 among the top 10 holders, they will show up. But otherwise, top 10 holders, we are comparing top merit 10 people by itself. But in a particular class of 50, for a math exam, there could be someone who beat these 10 people because he is exceptional in that particular math, right? So they could be the top for that math alone. See, so likewise, whoever is the highest invested into Apple, those top 10 holdings are being shown. If you see, Vanguard is there, BlackRock is there. Here is the Warren Buffett, almost holding 789 million shares of Apple. Can you imagine that? Right? His portfolio is 789 million shares of Apple. Like that is some stats which gives you confidence, because before to this things have you versus now, whenever I come across some stock, I just browse quickly to see how many people invested. Out of 7,000, let's say, okay, there are 200 plus who is showing interest, or 350 count is showing. I know, okay, you know what? This company is having an eye from big investors. Okay, now I can do the next. When it is having only 30 or 40, maybe it's just blossoming. We will have other details too, right? Like, when it was born, when it went to public, what they do, etc., etc. All this forms a part of our, just like buying a home, just like buying a car, we do our home. But we need some sources, right? There are public platforms which clearly gives about a particular car, but about a stock, it's a tricky thing. So for that, my checkpoints, I might have 5 checkpoints to meet for me to comfortably invest and sleep peacefully. So something like, so now when I come back and see any stock, okay, I get some uh, kind of lead. Okay, you know what? This is something valuable. Looks like I can take a shot, etc. So like that, this is important. This gives you certain things. Now that should bring you to some kind of thought process. Okay, I have these things. Many people are investing. Now my immediate question should come like, okay, where is the highest thing that I have invested? Where is the highest firms that invested. What is the stock? Give me the stock that invested. So that gives you some kind of a lead, right? Okay, you're thinking now, okay, I have some data, and now I'm focusing on which is the stock that has been more popular, or where everybody invested, the most of them have been invested. That gives you some dynamic for your investment or thought process. Again, once you know that, maybe that could be nothing, but that's your start point to massage your data into more meaningful thought process. That's how they have developed different reports. One among them is like this. Okay, you know the stock, you want to see what it is. What is its history? Quickly. Who invested the more? Is it making any sense? If somebody is investing 789 million shares, which counts to whatever billions, because considering it's at $200, right? You know what it means. It means it's more safest. I don't have to tell about Apple, or you don't have to know about Apple today. But when this is happening, this kind of reports, if we have, we might have caught it in 2012, 2010, etc., etc. Like Shopify, great name, performs great. But when it was growing, I went back to the reports when I started off using ThinkSabio reports. It was giving a clear sign of taking advantage of that particular name. We'll see that in this session, if not next session. But the idea is that, right? Now, with this information, what else ThinkSabio is developed? Before I jump into those, I wanted to start off to give you, some understanding about what is ThinkSabio, how it started, what variables will be used most of the places in ThinkSabio reports. So that way, when you see them, it's not a new thing for you. So we quickly discussed about SEC and why institutions or investor firms should report to SEC, and based on SEC, how ThinkSabio has derived variables or identified something called quarters. What is quarter? What is institution counts? How institution counts and each of the quarters are related, and then what are shares with respect to that particular institution firms, and how that shares are tied up to a particular quarter. And when you tie up and see a comparison between each quarter, are you trying to conclude to a more investment opportunity? This is what we looked into, right? Here, there are so many new people and so many are joining. So just so once you sign up, you have so many groups, you might be wondering, right? So what I would do, right, once you join, and if you go to community, you have things have your stocks, things have your alerts, things have your options, etc., etc. A lot of groups are made, but the most active ones is things have your stocks, where stocks related information is discussed. Alerts is more of things have your admins have control, and if they see something valuable, let's say, Nvidia buying at $110 could be worth with an SL of $100, and the possible target is 120 to 130. Nobody can tell the timeline in this market, right? But to safest reasons, based on whatever conclusion, they might give some. Similarly, option and option alerts. Please note, options are some very tricky. Market changes within minutes, right? Within hours. So when you go to that route, you have to be you should know where we are getting into, etc. But these are the four areas you can focus, especially these four channels, which is gives you information, or people might be discussing. You might get some meaningful info, as long as you want to progress by yourself as an individual to determine your own investment rather than following somebody's investment. You can see them as a reference and make a meaningful outcome that is suitable to you. Okay, this is something this will help. These groups will help, and these groups purpose are that. Okay, so now jumping back, we talked about okay, I came to know a stock, so this is great, and we saw into some parameters that might give some edge. Let's say I said, Warren Buffett invested the most into Apple. Then immediately we should be like, okay, what's going on there, right? He invested into Apple those many shares. What exactly his report might contain? I told, like, they have to report it. Everybody has to report it on a quarter to quarter basis. So we want to know where else he invested, example. Let's think that way. So that's where Warren Buffett company or all these multi-billion dollar companies are nothing but institutions. We talked about it, right? So institutions, except for the 10 people we figured out, we calling them as hedge funds. Okay, just for a differentiation. So now institutions. Now I want to see a particular institution. Okay, so before we see that, there could be some of us here who might have heard about Motley Fool, might have followed the Motley Fool, might have subscribed to their surveys, paying $100 a month or whatever, right? So now I'm interested to see what Motley Fool is invested into, for example, right? I might be interested. He is telling, okay, this stock could be good, this subscription you enroll, we tell you that, we tell you this, blah blah blah. But here itself we have very invest. It's not about one-time investment, right? It's quarterly. What he did this quarter, this quarter of Q4 shares versus Q1 shares. For example, once you have this report, I'm just bringing this up because he's on a subscription level where people register, etc. But now you want to see maybe something what he newly bought. Okay, so if you understood the quarterly process comparison between one to one, here I want to introduce few parameters. Okay, that ThinkSavier has brought it up. So when you're comparing, what can happen? When I'm comparing the score marks of two students, what can happen? From a last quarterly exam to this quarterly exam, let's say, I can only can make more marks, which is increased scenario, right? I increased myself. Or I was at 500 last time, this time I got 450. That means I got less, decreased. This could be one scenario. I got 500 and 500, no change. There is no change when you compare. That could be one scenario. Well, last time I was sick, I couldn't attend the exam. This time I attended the exam. So what it is, it's like a newly, I got in newly, so newly bought. Since we are talking here about shares, I never own a position. Now I own it. So it's like a newly bought status, right? So something like that. So, or you know what, I own stocks in Apple, but I sold it off. This quarter I sold it off. So when I come to the new quarter comparison, it's like, I sold it off. There is no more shares with me. So these are the only possibilities that happen within stock market for a particular individual firm investing into a company, right? Either they could own a position already and they increased it in this quarter, or they could own a position and decreased it in this quarter, or they left it as is and the change is no change, or they never invested, which won't show up in the records, or they just invested. So that means they newly bought it, so it will be shown as newly bought when you compare between quarters. Another thing is, I used to own and I sold it off completely in this quarter, right? That could happen too in the report. So that's why, Motley Fool very got in. Okay, very got in. If I bring this up, he got into so many things, right? Out of that, CVNA, it went off like crazy, and he bought 7,000 shares based on his investment, his money, blah blah blah. He did it. So like that, this report will help you to compare. But let's see what Warren Buffett has, right? Individual institution report. See the titles. Most of the reports and the headlines itself will tell you what they're about to talk and what it means. If you just pay attention to the report, it's a plain English report. You will understand. But of course, as I said, you need to know what quarterly counts are, what quarterly shares are. That's the only thing. Okay. Now, if you go, I think it's Berkshire Hathaway. Okay, here it is, right? Go here. So if you see here, quarter one, as I said, this is the latest we got. In next few days, you'll get quarter two, so forth. It's aligned like this. Now the comparison is between these two quarters and showing, but you can play around with how many quarters of data you want. You can bring that up. Okay. Before we do that, I was telling you status, right? Share status. When you compare, it is reduced, no change, increased, etc., etc., etc. Similarly, counts. Just in Apple, how many people invested, they are bringing this up here as well. So now let's go and see. Okay, before we see, if you see, based on their investment, highest investment, it is sorted out. Okay. If you see Apple, he invested almost 789 million. That's what we saw, right? Due to its pricing, it stays at the top. The other one, BSC, he has almost 1 billion shares. My goodness, right? So you know where this person is interested. So knowing, he's a long-term investor, etc. His methods are his method. Like that, if you come across someone who is successful, either through your friend, either through an article, or you came through any videos while you're watching, you get to know investors. Then you see, then from that any learning curve is there. You will learn from it. Or as a cumulative offer. See, when 7,000 people are going and investing in Austin area, assuming it's going to be a new hub, or investing if you're from Andhra Pradesh in Amaravati, assuming it's going to be a new capital, new growth, or you going to Hyderabad, assuming it has been the pillar, and then since 50 years it has been developing. 7,000 people going and investing at the same place who are successful already in their decisions in life. What it gives you? It gives you a cumulative representation, right? That's what happens. This you are looking at individually. But this particular number of holding 4,800 people is giving a cumulative direction that this is where your interest should be. This company is growing. This company has future, etc., etc., etc. I know now it's a known thing, Apple. Like this, when you pay attention, you will find the next gem, the one that is going to blossom in next few years or decades. You might able to find it. You invest, you sit through, maybe we get success, right? That's the whole purpose of it. That's the whole purpose of this reports, which is giving you some valuable direction. So now I pulled up Berkshire Hathaway report, right? As I said, he owns Apple. Now let's just see if we got anything newly, right? When it's newly, no, he didn't get any because there was nothing he bought newly in quarter 1. Okay, because he's a long-term investor, he doesn't change that often, etc., etc. For whatever reasons, that's what happened. Let's see if he has anything sold off, right? Just for curiosity purpose. Although he's a long-term, he will sell once in a while. Okay, he sold off HPQ. This before he used to own 22 million shares. In this quarter, he sold it. He did not report this. That means indirectly he sold it off this particular stock he owns. So out of all that, one stock he sold it. Similarly, he never got into any new position. He has just been playing with what he owns or invested long ago. Either he might be trimming little bit, addition, adding little bit, or just take white. Because if you see here, he has trimmed Apple because it went it hit a new all-time high. They thought maybe he almost 116 million shares. He pulled it off. 116 million shares. So that much he reduced. Like I said, rest you see, he just left it. American Express, Coca-Cola, everything he just left it. Let them grow. He gets dividends, let them grow. Like that. Some he increased. 4 million shares he increased in OXY Petroleum. He has been buying this stock. So like that. This is just example of you get to see. Now the question when I joined came was who I should follow. Well, okay, great. I came to know Buffett. I got to see his report. Okay, but what next? Who should I really follow? So I continuously have some kind of merits to learn or to see if I can follow, etc. Like that, as I followed the group, like I said, I showed you earlier what groups to follow. There could be so much of charts. Some might be talking about good stuff. Some might be talking about their experiences, etc. But I take what I need from the entire discussions, right? So now, like that, I followed another good institute who had good success. Forgot his name. Let's see if it comes with this. Okay, not. Yeah,
Are you looking for Bailey Gifford?
yeah, yeah. It came up, it popped up, but
BAL. Yeah.
let's see. Oh boy, hold on.
Yeah.
So like that, there are many. See, again, this is just for an idea to see where he invested. So they got into, he got into Shopify. This is the report which I ran 2, 3 years ago to see how he invested. He kept on buying stocks and increasing stocks. You see, all good names. Similarly, when they get into something new, which is, hey, can you tell me something new which he got into? Let's say, I think MBLY he got into. Not everything will take off, but what is he doing with this? Is he sticking around? Is he good at it, etc., etc.? He owns 106 million shares. What this company does, he got it at around $25. you know so it went high and then pulled back. Now again it's forming into good condition, if I'm not wrong, etc. Like that. I have some knowledge versus from being a zero knowledge or no be, I have something in front of me to decide. I have some references, healthy references. From that, I have to make my own healthy decisions that fit my need, right? That's the only caveat we have to work on. Well, I see all this, but what is that is really suitable to me? Okay, somebody says Tesla is great, let's say, right? But does it fit my need? Do I have five family, 5 kids, 4 kids, 3 kids? Do they fit in that particular car? Blah 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 blah, right? So like that. So some I follow where their investments give me some kind of spirit. This one mRNA during the COVID period, that's where he put like crazy number and it just took off. They still hold it. No, their tricks we don't know. Magically, they sell, they hold little bit. He used to have 400 million or something. A big chunk they sell it and then keep holding to it because some great companies they perform over 5, 10 years, 15 years, etc. So this is where you want to know a particular individual is great. Our friend is great. How he does the coding. I'm interested, right? Because whenever he writes the code, it is picture perfect. So you want to see what is in there, how he writes, what is thought process. Similarly, some replica. So we just covered about you got to know a stock. You will look at it to analyze where we stand or what kind of indication you are getting it. Or you got to know a great investor. You want to see what they hold. Very curious. My friend is successful in stock market. Let's just say now we are talking, oh, I'm giving the session. You might be wondering, oh, what this guy did in stock market, what is his portfolio looks like, right? Similarly, then you have something to view. And then, like I said in my discussion, you one is you got to know, but one is you invent yourself what stock to invest. That's where the real picture is. That's where the rest of the reports are very, very helpful for you to figure out by yourself. Okay. Before I jump in right into that, now I came to stock market. The first question I have is, what? I'm seeing a lot of stocks. I might be, you might get this question or not, but I got all these questions. I'm like, okay, how many stocks do even US stock market exchanges trade? How many stocks? How many stocks I'm dealing with here? So now that's where one report, one place, everything. Okay, there is daily, all institutions. It's in search also, but I got used to go from reports. So I go here. So when you go here, right, this report has a lot of variables because they are trying to give, what a company symbol, what company, what sector, what industry, all this help you, right? And then we talked about quarterly, these variables which, things have been brought up. So you know what this means now. And then, comparison, you know what this means also. SEC, SEC 13DG, like I said, when they do it more than 5% or bring down the position from 5% to below, let's say I have 10% stake earlier. Now I bought it to 4.7. Then they report within 1 to 10 days. Anything recently like that within last 3 months, within this quarter, anything. Once quarter ends, everything is accumulated. So something after quarter, anything like that happened on this particular stock. Then you see these values. And then pricing, it's a known thing, etc., etc. Now, you know, this report out of this, you're seeing around 5,000 plus stocks here. Okay, only good which has no like very less market caps may be avoided, but good solid stocks 5,000 plus we have. Now I want to see different ways you can figure out Some could be very interested in medicine because they have that background. Some could be into oil companies or energy companies, right? Some could be into technology companies. That's why different sectors are laid out, right? Everything is a business. Everything has good, bad performance. So now I want to see that, for example, I have so many filters I can figure out based on my interest. But let's just say one thing when I joined ThinkSabio was based on size or their team approach, they have shared everything openly rather than finding it and then saying, okay, put Amazon, put this, put that. It's an open way of learning everybody. So I went ahead and saw what is 25% that are performing. Remember, uh, in stock market or anything, or if you did not experience, for me, what I learned is if a stock is performing, it will continue to perform, although it might have some pullbacks. That's why Nvidia just kept on going, or good companies they keep on going for that reason. So if something is doing positive, there is something happening positively with that. Whether that will stay in course for next 3 months, next 6 months, next 1 year, or the run period has done the moment we found it, we will only know in the future. But thing is, if you were to invest, if you want to find stocks, find where money is going, where money is performing. Just like oh, if real estate is booming and then you go do something else, that means indirectly you are on the wrong side doing something else. Not necessarily that will not take off eventually, but this is where the money is, this is where money will be made, and people will go away. The moment money is made, at some point it will come crack down. But again, it will rise. But thing is, which part of that rise you are in? Where did you get in almost on the verge of collapse? That's our bad luck. But wherever money is going, if you focus there, there will be possibilities. Assuming that is a good assumption, right? What is performing this year? I just wanted to know. And I don't want to bring up something which is less than 10 for now. For our discussion, we can play around and make sure based on our potential, but let's say a minimum of $50 is what I want to look for, minimum. And with who are performing a little bit very clean this particular year. Okay, we can play around with a lot, but with as a session we have only certain times or certain limitations to go in through. But you can use your time and valuable skill and bring up more ideas and more ways to use it efficiently. So now if you see, I bought it up, and out of those many stocks you see here, only 164 came out. Now just simple thought, think about it. I eliminated 5,000 stocks. I only looking at 164 now. Okay, whatever my approach is, that's where as I said, the data is available. We have to refine it and use it to our need and our thought process. But if you see here, now I don't have to look into so many. I bought it down heavily. And then how that can be used, that's the next scenario. But within this also, whether it's S&P 500 companies only you want to look at, etc., etc., you can filter it. It might filter down, or everything could be S&P 500. Given I choose $50 minimum, we'll do that such real quick. But here also I want to see something that is performing the best, rather than uh, out of those 25%, I want to see what is performing the best this year. See here, we put a $50 range as a minimum price. So nothing less than 50 is being shown here. But think about it. Within above $50 stocks, the current price is above $50 stocks. Some stock went 241%, 194, blah, 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 blah. You see here, these are the stocks, ALPN, SMCI, etc., etc. Let's see. So SMCI, NVIDIA, VKTX, VST. So you know what? This happened. Yes, this happened. For example, this stock when it was being run, CAMT, and some of the AI, semiconductor, everything has some kind of a nice push. This was recommended at $70. Like I said, stock alert is just for you view purpose. Nobody gives guarantees, but the idea is, okay, $70. This is making nice certain moves. The possible next target is 75, 80. The possible low point where you don't want to risk anymore, 65. Some based on their analysis. So now it's 70, now almost it hit 100%. Like that, this is being shared in the stock alert group. So my point is, how you analyze this and conclude whether this particular business is going to connect to the next few months, next few years, is where the entire trick is. Let's assume we came to know about Tesla. Today it's a big name. But if this kind of quarterly we talk, right? This kind of quarterly we've been talking. Let's say from 100, 200, 300, 500 it went around 2012 year. We'll also figure out if there is a way to see the number in 2012 and on. Now, when it's increasing, now next thing is what this Tesla does. Who owns this or who runs this? Okay. How is it connected to next future? The moment you have these three visionary points in mind, I don't think it's a hard decision for you to make. Although, results we don't know, but we will be able to figure out and get through some of the companies. For example, ARM, right? ARM came. Let's see if it is even here. And suppose it did well. Okay. It's not here, but I don't think it made 25%. I'm not sure. We'll look into that. So ARM as a company is there, but I'm curious. Okay, ARM is great company. NVIDIA itself tried to offer a buyout, I believe, if I'm not wrong. Then that company, when it started off, how many people present, how it is doing now, etc., etc. If you get some picture, maybe you take an investment and take a seat to see if there are any. Like this, you can play around with this data by giving different values or different things you can learn, right? Like for example, count. I want something which has increased significantly. I don't know if with this combination it will do, but let's just say minimum percentage count change, right? 50. Okay, let's just say 50. Let's see if it does anything. Okay, you see here there are two. From 195, 364 it went off. Okay, from 195, 364. That means it's a great sign that it did. At that point, one thing you have to remember is, since we get a few days later, just see how stock performed. If stock has run too crazily, that's a caution point that although it's in a good books, it's showing up nicely, you want to take some caution about investing into it, right? So it's all about little cautionary thinking when you look at it. But you see here, from 195, interest has grown, so is the stock. It performed 7 to 8x, 9x, right? That's the magic of this. Only thing, whether we get the information handy, am I looking it at the right time? Those kind of decisions we should be able to figure it out. Okay. So I know we have 1 hour. We think Sabio wants to respect everybody's time and stick with planned session, planned time. On that note, let me reiterate in 2 minutes what we discussed today. Today we came here to talk about uh, our Think Sabio family group, right, which is started and it took off. To start with, when I started off, I covered one thing called, okay, you got in, you signed up, there is something called community where you join into groups. When you join first 4 groups, you pay attention, which is rest are also generic, you can talk, but 4 where people talk about stocks, people talk about options, depending on your interest, your learning, your time, etc. We can look into that. Once that is done, we talked about how this started, who looked into which articles, and how it motivated, how ThinkSabio has worked hard to come up with some conclusion or reporting way from the data that was available to public for years and years, right? Out of that, we made so many reports. Those reports, how we will be able to digest, learn from it, is the entire crux of it, right? This is what we have on a nutshell covered. Other than that, website has my universe, where you play around with your money, virtual money is there, so many things are there. But other than this, there are so many something else to cover, right? But today we mainly focused on, if you got to know about a stock, you heard about it, you saw about it, you learned about it, whatever way, how you can also make this as one tool to help you determine how efficient it is, where it stands in terms of interest from great people, right? Great investors. As simple as that. That is one. And then you can't. There are successful investors, but we are interested to see where their money is going in. So it helps. For example, Reliance is investing into something. That means there is some meat there. They are putting there because they know something going to work out or going to do returns. And when you know, okay, Reliance is going to invest in this place tomorrow, well, that's a big bonus for you. After investing, you get to know still that's exactly what we talked about earlier. Well, he invested, it came to know, it became popular, everything is done. Now there is meat left, you go for it. If there is no meat, you came to know after 10 years. It's already developed, maybe nothing, right? So, like that, you follow great investors, you can see their way of investing. Other than that, there is a report where you get entirety of stock market, how you filter out data and make a sense of it. That's what we looked into. And then I bought up, I want to determine myself a particular stock to invest. That's where we have some reports called. So quickly, let me show you. Uh, there are on a day-to-day basis how things are moving. You want to learn on a week-to-week basis how things are moving because everybody or the think-savvy population has a different mindset. One could be looking at day-to-day money. We don't know. One could be looking at short-term money. We don't know. One could be looking at long-term money. We don't know, right? For all that reasons, we have a daily, a weekly reports, and also a quarterly reports where you have special reports where it makes it easy for us to make decisions like ultimate reports, etc. So just so you know, Sai has started off this with almost zero knowledge, with his team of one or two prepared from nowhere to meaningful reports. And then using this ultimate report, he was able to find 4 to 5 good names. And of course, COVID, stock market raising like crazy, all things has to come into picture. You invest somewhere, example on a land or something, right? Things have to fall in place. The moment you invest, if they are not giving water supply, yeah, prices sunk. Nothing you can do, but your homework was right. Your decisions were on the right approach. So similarly, on that note, he found 5 to 6 from based on this report. Boom. He's I believe, if I'm not wrong, I don't know if I can say this, but knowing him, I think I'll take courage to say this, from 1 million to 10 million he went. So that kind of investment opportunity these reports have provided, right? Of course, market help overall, from 1 million based on 5 6 names he found in this particular report, it turned out to be a 10x gainer eventually, right? So like that, these few reports which I talked daily, weekly, quarterly, and few other reports will help us identify a name. Remember, we talked about one, you get to know or hear about a company, what it looks like. Let's do some research. Second, you yourself find some stocks. For that, as I said, there are few reports that we will look into session 2. But other than that, we looked into basics of how you can join into a group, what things ThinkSabio is about, how it started, what they looked into, how it helped shape up some reports that we can have some look into knowledge base for further investing, etc., etc. Okay. On that note, if you guys have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer. And then, we will end it in next 5 minutes, probably.
Hey, Danu, I have two questions. This
Sure.
is Rosalind.
Yeah, Rosie.
So, in the start, these top 10 hedge funds were the top 10 hedge funds, right?
Correct.
Now, are they the same hedge funds? Because they had shown performance before. Do
Correct.
they
Correct.
continue to be the same top 10, or are they different every time?
No, I think they continue to be same. They have continuously lived up to expectation and performing. As I said, one or two might slip out, but otherwise, it has been consistent, and their data also has stayed consistent with those top 10 hedge funds.
Okay. The second question is, say, for example, now we pick a stock like Dell, okay, and we are
Mm-hmm.
looking at the quarterly results here.
Yeah.
And the quarterly results for the next quarter are due within 45 days. Say
Okay.
now June, it's going to come by August 15th. Okay.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Say, for example, now Citadel or Renaissance or Millennium, whoever it is, they
Mm-hmm.
have to give this SEC the information only when their portfolio goes 5% or over or under, right?
Mhm.
So what if they keep it within the 4.5? Everybody keeps it within the 4.5, and we don't see any SEC transactions, and it
Right.
has been going down
Okay.
on that
So,
stock. You know what
yeah,
I'm asking, right?
correct. So, first of all, to your question, when like Citadel or the other firm you mentioned, they are more than
Mhm.
100 billion assets under management firms. Okay.
Correct.
When they own even a single share, they report it on a quarter to quarter. Doesn't matter
Correct.
in any stock.
Correct. Correct.
So let's say if they have less, like you said, less than 5%, which is most of the cases, because we can't get into 5% position in Apple. It's not possible, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's where they continuously do trading, right? That's why this is, if that they continue to trade based on market conditions, etc., etc. But overall holding, we get a picture eventually when they report it, right? That's why this particular thing should be referenced, but not a exact replica for that time of moment. Versus anything which is comes between 1 to 10 days, it's like right now done.
Immediate.
Yes,
Yeah.
the scenario which is recently, that you can rely more for your investing purposes too, basically.
Okay. But I don't think there is anything like that, because definitely 5% they cannot own. But if it
Yes,
is like a small stock, okay, it's
yes,
like big
exactly.
companies like Apple or Dell are not going to fall
No,
under or float. But
no,
small, if it is small, because they also make that investments, right? And
correct, correct. If it is small, yes, we get it.
yeah.
That's where we have another report under daily, right? So like we
Uh-huh.
talked, it comes as
Yeah.
a daily action. So SEC 13G latest report. For example, on a day to day, you have it. On
Correct.
Friday, you got 25 transactions. If you see the percentage own, I have to
Mhm.
cover this report. Next time, I think I'll prefer this report up. That way, it brings more knowledge. If you see here, 4.88, 10, 4.2, 3.5, 4, blah, blah, blah. Here and there
Okay.
exceptions for reasons known to them. But if you see most of the cases, it will be more than 5. That's why they report it immediately.
Okay. Thanks, Danu.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, team? Okay. I think it's a great discussion. I'm very happy to share some of my thoughts and also things of your work. Just to give personal perspective of it, this is great information. As I said, there are 4 or 5 more reports which I use very frequently. That gives you big confidence level to be able to identify stocks on your own, make your own assumptions and investment, and of course, decision based on your actions, mindset. Results will come with positive or negative. But thing is, uh, we are not alone is what I can conclude due to few things. One is group where a lot of ideas are shared. When you're low, they give a reasoning about what it really looks like. When you're positive, also, people share, when we can make some decision to hold off or whatever, whatever. Other than that, as I said, this is the only tool that I started off the journey with, and I can rely on. I didn't have to. Of course, I use Google, I use Finwich to get some variables or content of data or news, latest news. But other than that, to be able to figure out what stocks that I can really look into to take advantage of, these things have your reports are more than enough that I can give you with 100% confidence. 100% confidence, either with their SEC report or other reports which we're going to talk down the lane on the second session. Those reports are helpful for me to hand pick the names, and then on top of it, I also use my own technical way of analyzing things with technical analysis. A mix of all this gives a good chance to make money in stock market, and I'm hopeful you will do the same. If you have any questions, also anytime you can ping me, DM me. My name is Danu. I think in Telegram I put it as DA. I'll change it to maybe to Danu, so to make it easy. But you can DM me, and also we have Shiva here, admin from Things Hub, your team always available. You can reach out to them. But we are more than happy to share more knowledge, more experience, real time experience also, where we failed, where I failed, where I passed. What I need to do down the road to get in success. Because I'm here because I still believe that investing is possible. to retail investors, and we also can see success. However, few things is, you need to have proper risk management and patience. Without these two, you come back and tell, I did not make money. I think first two things we have to correct is this. Without this, it's not possible at all. That is a straight outright experience which has been in saying for years, right? 100 years plus, I believe. So other than that, at least from zero, I have clear knowledge about any stock comes to my mind, or through Twitter or some XYZ sources. I know how to research, how to make a decision. This is for me or not for me, kind of scenario, independently, single-handedly. You can say the biggest advantage. Another one I want to share on this particular meeting is anyone who is in our home with a little math and little understanding about reading things. I think being a homemaker, it could be boy, men, or a girl, or woman or men sitting at home without anything, one laptop with internet access and little math knowledge or understanding about what people are talking. Very, very basic knowledge. A 10th grade passed out also can do this. It's no science. That confidence I can have, I can tell you with confidence. Only thing is, yes, practicals only let you learn the mistakes, positives and negatives, but otherwise, this is definitely possible. By putting nice effort, you can find great names. Okay.
Hey, Danu and Shiva, one quick suggestion.
Yes,
All of
yes.
these reports and all of these sessions that you are having, right?
Hmm.
I think now ThinkSavvy has enough of these sessions that has
Okay.
detailed information when updating of these things. Swapna has shared it at multiple. I think real life examples like Danu you mentioned,
Yeah, yeah,
failures and stuff, because I can even share and I believe in the data. I made
yeah,
mistakes but I still believe in the
yeah.
platform and in the tools. So anybody like that can share real life examples. This is what you should not do, this is what you can do. Just
Yes,
blindly looking at data. Don't just see, okay, somebody is saying some stock and just go and buy.
correct, correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think that is more informative. So I think next sessions onwards, if Danu you can share, okay, this is what I did, this is how I learned, this is, rather
Yes,
than just going through, because I think even Sai has those sessions, and
yeah,
Swapna has
totally.
shared same report, same thing. So then
Correct, correct.
I'd really appreciate some learnings that we can have.
Okay. No, 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 definitely great suggestion and great feedback. I would also focus on that, right? This is only for new people who come in, but otherwise, this is one thing, as you said. The real experiences is where we can learn. That's where interaction has also should happen. See, you're very brave, open up, share your positives and negatives or questions, right? Similarly,
Correct.
if everybody interacts, that also gives motivation to
Yeah,
share what we
this
went through exactly.
yeah, this platform is phenomenal. This is
Correct.
something that nowhere else we can see. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
really very, very nicely done. I believe in the data and I believe in this things. Sai has
yeah.
done a really wonderful job. And Danu, you being a volunteer and doing that also and trying to help, you also, even 2-3 years back also, you were trying to help. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate your efforts in all this front.
Yeah. Thank you, Rosalind, for your good words. Also, thank you, team, for joining today, spending your time.
Hey, hey,
Yeah.
Janu, my name is Anand. So I have a quick question. So I
Yeah,
just
sure, Anand.
joined recently, a couple of days before, right? As you said, I got this invite. So what I understand is that you basically provide a platform of data for people who go and check and
Correct.
to make some informed decisions about which stocks to
Correct.
buy, which stocks to sell, right? Yeah,
Yes.
I got it. That.
Yeah, that is
Uh,
that is the main objective,
okay.
because it's not like alert system. And Anand, like Rosalind brought up, or myself too. See,
Mm,
if we put in our software language, you can only get through a first step or 1 month of job if you take help. After that, it's going to be broken eventually, right? You
mm-hmm.
have to have our own skill to be able to perform in the job. Same way, 100% same logic applies here. You need to have a helping hand to start off to understand things, but we have to build it on our own, in our implementation, what to choose, what not to choose, how to
Okay.
execute it. Then
Got
only
it.
success comes. the
Okay.
the
Yeah,
main
yeah, yeah.
idea of ThinkSavvy is also that, provide
Okay.
data, streamline,
Okay.
make
Mhm.
them understand, make independent. That's the
Okay.
goal. Yeah. Um, Cool. Yeah, I think that's a good question, Anand.
No. Yeah, I think that was only first part. Second part of the question I
Okay,
didn't
please.
ask yet. Yeah. So
Go ahead.
basically, that's first part. Second part is, so I think you would already know that there are see, some people do not have time to spend
Correct.
analyze and all of that.
Correct. Correct.
I wouldn't say lazy because of the market timing and then work same time they have meetings and all of that.
Mhm.
You got what I'm saying, right?
Yes,
So
100%.
especially when it comes to options, right?
Correct.
Options, puts,
Correct.
calls. So you guys are planning to come up with some kind of subscription service as well. I don't know. What I meant, I think you know my question, right? There are several subscription groups who kind
Yeah.
of tell you this is an alert. Okay, go buy this at this rate. Sell
Yeah.
this is the sale price. Stuff like that. You
Yeah.
guys are planning to do similar.
Yeah. So
thing as
so
well?
like I showed you in the community earlier, there are first 4 groups, right? Stocks, stock alerts, option alerts. If you did not join, Shiva here, he will also go back and check. If you are not part of it, he will guide you how to join. But option alerts, okay, stock alerts and option alerts are the things where it is given. Even in stocks also, stock groups, you get stock related information. Okay, since you brought up specifically about options and options group and option alerts is where you need to look at, where
Okay.
people talk about, okay, you know what, Apple next week, July 13th or 14th, expiry for 220 strike, $3 we are getting in with SL of whatever, $2, whatever. And
Okay, got it.
okay,
Maybe wrong question I asked. Okay, since I'm
yeah,
just new, couple of days, I have not
yeah,
fully
they're
gone through.
doing it,
Got it. Okay.
but yeah, they're doing it, but definitely things have a main objective is to provide data, give direction rather than alert system. That's not what they focus. But however, it is already existing with the different players always sharing their viewpoint in the options. Yeah, like you asked.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Anand. Yeah, so team, anyone has any questions? As I said, feel free. We are here to help each other, share our ideas, thoughts, and also uh, streamline ourselves to get into success in the stock market. Hopefully, that will happen. But on that note, enjoy your rest of the day and weekend tomorrow. We'll catch up again on the next session with more things or more reports down the road. Okay. Thank you. Have a great day, guys. Bye.